Our next presentation brings together Rabbi Baruch Thaler and Yona Verwer. Yona Verwer is a Dutch-born, New York-based artist, holds a master's degree in fine arts from the Royal Academy in Hague. She has shown and curated in galleries and museums nationally and internationally, such as the Andy Warhol Factory, Jerusalem Biennale, the Bronx Museum, Yeshiva University Museum, Bernard Heller Museum, and the Holocaust Memorial Center. Verwer has been featured in the New York Times, the New Yorker, Ars Judaica, the Huffington Post. She is the founding director of the nonprofit Jewish Art Salon, and we have other significant members of the Jewish Art Salon here present. Rabbi Baruch Thaler grew up and received rabbinic ordination in the Hasidic Chabad Lubavitch world and has evolved into the wider world. He still keeps some connection to those roots in his own way, and he most identifies these days with the spirit of Jewish renewal. He spends a good part of the year organic farming and is currently heading the Nitzotzot community in Brooklyn, an egalitarian community of members who transitioned from their ultra-Orthodox Haredi backgrounds into the modern world, and who are now expressing their Judaism in new and creative ways. And one new and creative expression will be unpacked in this beautiful presentation with Yona Verwer and Rabbi Baruch Thaler. Without further ado.
I was going to assume that Baruch was going to speak first, but I'm not sure if he's on the call, actually.
He's here. He's here.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. There you are.
Rabbi Baruch, you're muted.
Hey, okay. It says that the very first words Bereshit was also one of the 10 utterances, but it was said silently by Hashem. So, so we're beginning in the appropriate way. And thank you, Dvir, for bringing together this mamish, this such a creative Beit Midrash, and seeing you evolve and us working together in other ways too, and your personal life transforming. Mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, and to be following here after such illustrious people, especially Rabbi Saschar and Toby. And there's something very apropos of having a lapsed Lubavitcher follow a lapsed Satmar. It's Mashiach times, must say. Mashiach is on his way. Right,
Mashiach. Neither one of you are lapsed. You are your own people. I don't believe in that. I'm sorry. Thank you for letting me speak, but I think you're both exceptional human beings, and thank you. I believe everyone is Tselem Elokim, so it doesn't matter what group you come from. I'll keep my mouth shut again.
Right, exactly. No, we're totally Hasidically egalitarian, right?
Exactly, modern Hasidish.
And right, and indeed, so much of the themes, if there is a recurrent theme going throughout here, just following the last couple hours here in room one, is that very notion that there is something deeper than the veneer that we're tapping into, and that is in fact the role of the artist to express and indeed peel away what seems like the monochromatic facade to truth and reality, and reveal it, like that famous Keats line, truth is beauty, etc. And in fact, even before we go to the Parsha, we can see right here on the screen that that's in fact what Yona, with her amazing art, is doing here, peeling away the surface to show what is hidden beneath, which is in fact the Kabbalistic and Hasidic take on the Parsha B'chukotai, right? This is this end of Parsha Ki Tavo is where we get the whole litany of curses and all the fire and brimstone. If we're not good kindalach, that Tati up from above is going to patch us, and put us back in line. And if we still don't listen, it'll be coming down even harsher and harsher. And really, it seems like almost like a horror film. Yet we read it every year, twice a year. So for a reason, and going, discussing it with Yona. I mean, what we were revealing in our own process was, yes, indeed, in our personal lives, we encounter real calamities and real negative happenstances that can beat us down, and in fact, we can become they can become whole hindrances to our growth. And the teaching is of the Chukotai is that don't try to ignore them. Don't try to run away from all the, when the storm is coming our way. Yes, be protected and what have you, but there is a way that we can even harness the negative energy and catapult in a way that it can feed and bring out something beautiful therein. And just remembering that famous parable of the bucket with the hole in it, where the person's carrying, and why does this bucket need to have the holes versus the other bucket on the other side that's whole? Turns out that the holes with the bucket, the water drips down and it creates a whole line of flowers to blossom. So it's taking the vice and turning it into a beautiful creative expression. And many of the many artists we know have gone through great difficulties of life and have used the art process to transform it to something not just for personal therapy, but for that we can all share. And maybe that's why even us in the art of Torah learning, that's that too is a way of taking that which is on the other side and bringing it up, taking the tohu vavohu that we were just learning, embrace it, and making it something of greatness. So I mean, the Hasidic interpretations there are details going into how the specific curses of the parsha translate into blessings. But you know what? How about Yona? If you could just continue. This is almost like playing telephone in a way. Or what is it? No, poetic corpse. What is it? Where one person begins. Exquisite corpse, right? So yes, as we just saw before from Jeffrey, that art and Torah too is a never-ending process. So Yona, please, if you want to continue.
Yes, I'll take it from here, tag team. So first of all, Devere and the entire Kahana team, thank you so much. And also you, Baruch, because this was just one section of things we discussed. We talked about everything under the sun. So really grateful for all the learning. So these two artworks here are based on blessings and curses mentioned in this Torah text. And these particular ones are focusing on rain. So rain, of course, is very important in Israel because it's a desert climate. And blessings and curses and rain are all open to interpretation. While good for one, they may be bad for another. So these paintings, the blessings, which is the one on the right, shows a section of the Judean desert that is fertile because of rainfall. And then the curses on the left show a pool of water with a dead tree branch sticking out. And this is where too much rain became detrimental. So it's not a coincidence that these two paintings at first glance are sort of interchangeable. They both have beautiful metallic surfaces. By the way, I created these by sculpting the canvases and covered in wet metallic Venetian plaster. They're each about 20 by 24 inches. And most people, if I don't tell them which one is which, they think that the one on the left must be the blessings because, there's so much gold and it's beautiful. Well, of course, the other one is actually the blessing. So how come the blessings painting shows the process of opening ourselves up to Hashem. Like the blessings paintings on the right has a much wider opening, like we're beginning to open ourselves up. The cross kind of stands for us as well. And it also actually is reminiscent a little bit of a Torah scroll. And the more we open ourselves to divine energy coming down to us, the more we are open to positive interpretation of events. While the crust in the curses painting is more narrow, less open, and yet based on the surrounding gold, it also has the promise of becoming positive. I'm aware of the time, so I'm not sure if I should speak about it any further. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer. And if, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can you speak a little bit about working abstractly with ideas that, I don't know, that might be representational or could, I know that your work has worked both way, representational and abstract, but in these, they're very abstract. Can you talk about why you chose this?
Sure. They're less abstract actually than you think, David, because it's really hard to tell that the inside of the canvases has like representational imagery. It's like it kind of gets hidden by the crowd.
Yeah,
it does.
I want to say something, Yona. I have seen them, and David, when you see it on the screen, they look way more abstract. But when you see it up close, and I have to say, Yona, that's what I love about this piece of yours, because when you first see it, you think it's pure abstraction, and you get closer. And that's one of the things that I find very hard when you're on Zoom. You can't, is there any way you can blow that up so that David and anyone else who wants to see it closer can, because they're much more realistic than you think.
Wow.
Yeah, try the other one, Devere. You can probably easier to see that. So pool of, you know what, the right flap kind of covers it. You can
Right.
You have to kind of walk around it to see the whole thing. So you can really see easily when you look at it a little bit more from the left. I should have taken a photo a little bit more from the left. You can see it's a pool of water and there's this branch sticking out looking very forlorn.
Beautiful. How large are they?
But I am totally into it now. I'm working on a whole new series about Genesis for our upcoming Genesis exhibition in New York City, spring 2023, just throwing it out there. I'm doing a whole series about, opening and bursting through, etc. And it's so much fun because the other series I'm working on is totally representational. So I love the balance of the two series.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah.
And Yona, I just want to say that now when you see this one closer, what I like most about these pieces is that your colors are so diverse and you can read into them as if they're layers of metal. Do you know what I mean? They feel like they're patinaed.
Right. Thank you that you see that, Toby, because that really was what I was aiming for. Right. Yes. And I actually used like pewter and stuff to make the silver look aged, and went to did other things to make the gold look aged. But yes, it's all is actually metallic stuff. It has metallic pigments in it.
Yona, you should think about it. Your work is nothing like his, but it has a conversation with one of my close friends, Leonardo Drew, who had a big, he's shown all over the world, but he does these pieces of wood that he oxidizes, and they look like they're 100 years old. And this feels very ancient. And that to me is really exciting.
Great, thank you. I'll look him up, Toby. Thanks so much.
Thank you for this magnificent presentation. I feel like there's hours and hours of that we could expound upon each individual one, and in fact we have the hour-long articulation available on the website and on the Facebook page. But something that was particularly a connecting tissue between this piece and the next is trying to read a text at face value. Sometimes it seems very clear and evident that it's to be interpreted in one way. It's to be interpreted as a curse. And in this next presentation, Judith Joseph will describe to us how a curse can actually be seen as a blessing, and how we can really flip the narrative by allowing ourselves to dig into text.